Hey, how you doing? This is John, and welcome to John's Long Box. Today we're looking at Wulf and Batsy. This is number 6, $1.98 by Alterna Comics. This just came out. This is December 2022, and as such, I'm not going to showcase the entire comic. I really like this comic. I really like this company. And in full disclosure, Brian Bao has been on my channel. We talked about the comic. I showcased Wulf and Batsy number 1. He reached out to me and said that he appreciated me talking about his comic, and we started talking. I invited him on. We had I think a wonderful conversation. Who knows what Brian thinks? I had to talk to Brian, so I enjoyed it. He had to talk to me, so who knows what he thought. But so I reached out to him and I asked him if would he mind if I showcased another one of his comics. He said, "Yeah, sure, that would be fine." So there you go, full disclosure. So first off, I cannot talk about alternative comic books without talking about the physical printed comic. These are the best printed comic books coming out. Pete Samedi, owner, CEO, and apparently dark wizard of Alterna Comics. I don't know how he's getting this stuff done and selling it to you for $1.98, but that's what he's doing. So I just have to, you know what, laugh is too easy of a word. I don't laugh. I actually get annoyed that the other companies are charging like $6 for a new comic when Alterna's doing it for $1.98 and they're doing it better. I'm not even talking about the art and the story. I'm just talking about the binding, the printing, the coloring. Rant over. So anyway, what is Wulf and Batsy? Wulf and Batsy is a comic book about a werewolf and a vampire. You know, it's fully inspired by the pre-code EC comics that even before my time, and the Hammer films of the 60s and 70s. So, which begs the question: what are the Hammer films? Hammer films, you've all seen them. The Vincent Price, Peter Cushing, Christopher Lee as the vampire hunters and vampires and witch finders. Wonderful comics. I don't know when Hammer films went under, but they were big for like 20 years. What is EC Comics? EC Comics is Entertaining Comics, the same company that did Mad Magazine. Everybody knows Mad Magazine. But 1954, when we had the congressional hearings, comic books became like scrutinized, and they were basically gutted, and that because they were causing juvenile delinquency and all the horrors, drug use, and just like today we blame video games, back in the 50s we blamed comic books. And EC Comics was the most egregious of all of them, big eyeballs and monsters and everything like that. So they gutted them. They made a comic book code authority. It was an in-house by the comic book companies to keep the government from regulating them, like they did with the movie industry. So and EC Comics never really recovered. There is a definite dividing line between pre-code comics and post-code comics, and Brian Bao is drawing inspiration from Hammer films, regular comic books, and pre-code comic books. How was that for a preamble? So anyway, let's look at this wonderful comic. All right, so what's going on? Wulf and Batsy are traveling around. I almost said traveling the verse. I've been catching up on Firefly. Wulf and Batsy are traveling around looking for a home. In the very first issue, the title of the comic is "Home We Have No Home," which made me giggle because I had just watched Ed Wood with when that famous Tim Burton movie that made a big deal of Bela Lugosi. Home, I have no home. I've seen the original movie decades before, but I love the Ed Wood movie. But that's neither here nor there. Focus. A lot of coffee. Tim Hortons coffee, everybody. All right, focus. All right, so they're looking for a home. In their wanderings, they found this gothic scary mansion in the middle of a cemetery. Go figure. It's what I mean? Go figure. Perfect. Matter of fact, here's a little Easter egg. I only know this because I speak to Brian, but it's actually where Brian Bao lives. He went outside into his cemetery and he drew his crumbled down horrible mansion that he inherited from his great grandfather, who was a Prussian aristocrat. I don't know. He had it painstakingly taken from Europe out to Ohio, wherever he lives, and he built it. He built it on the remains of an orphanage, because that's the way Brian Bao is. But what do you want me to do? You got to live, right? Can't blame a guy for living. So, what was really weird is he made a graveyard. There's nobody actually buried there. He just wanted a graveyard. I don't know. Brian Bao's a weird guy. So anyway, this is Zagzag. He's been digging up corpses and experimenting on the corpses. You know, and the funny thing is, you actually feel bad for the zombies. The zombies are like innocent guys who just want to, as far as we know, they're just innocent corpses that just want to be dead. I don't know what do corpses want. And he's been torturing them. He's the mad scientist, a trope that I love. Mad scientists are a great villain. You could put them in horror comics, you could put them in science fiction comics, you could put them in superhero comics, and obviously horror comics. Did I say that twice? And I was thinking about like Western comics, you know, an evil scientist. West. Oh my God, that there you go. Now I'm getting excited, but that's me for you. So let's take a look at what's going on. I like this ad over here, Marlena Midnight. And this is the what's known as the splash page. For those of you who are new, a splash page is one panel on a page, and it's usually but not necessarily limited to the first page. It's kind of like a poster, like a movie ad usually. Look at that. Look at that eyeball over here. This is gonna be one of those times where I point to things and go, look at that, because Brian's a madman. Brian's a madman, and I'm just glad that there's iron gates around his house. So again, this is 2022, and my policy is I don't showcase newer comics that are still for sale, because I'm not a pirate website. I want you to go and purchase the comics, you know, and enjoy them the way I do. You know, I don't want to look at myself as a commercial. I want to look at myself as an enthusiast who wants to share their hobby. So look at that, 2 splash pages for the price of 1. There's Zagzag over here with the chainsaw and this horrible beast. Now, in the last issue, it was a cliffhanger. They chased him down into the sewers, and he called this his master creation. Look at this freak. Look at that. There's something wrong with Brian. And we got corpses rising who are, keep in mind, the zombies are on Wulf and Batsy's side. And I think it's funny. I just thought of it now, that in this particular comic book, the dead are the good guys, the living are the bad guys. How's that for a twist? You know, I don't know the entire lore of werewolves, but are werewolves undead? You know, I'm of 2 minds of werewolves. Like, did they die and a wolf spirit inhabited their body and transformed them? Or are they living with some sort of like disease that rewrites their DNA? I don't know. But for the sake of poetry, and for the sake of making my point, I'm going to say that the dead are the good guys. Because we all know vampires are dead. And they're attacking. So, what do we got here? The vampire is panicking. Batsy is the more human, the more humane of the two. Wulf just wants to eat. He's got bestial natures. You know, when Wulf is happy, he's happy. When he's hungry, he is hungry. And when he's enraged, you know, look out. Whereas she seems to have more of like a human range of emotions, even though she's a vampire, so which makes me think that she's a young vampire. Brian hasn't really told us their backstories yet, so I'm filling in things. I may be wrong, but that's what I do. I like to fill in things. She's panicking, and Wulf, you know, they're friends. Now, are they romantic? We don't know. You know, could they be? We don't know. That's one of the things that we'll find out in the story. So he ain't gonna, but either way, he's not gonna let his only friend get attacked by this horrible eyeball thing. So she's getting strangulated over here, and Wulf just goes to town. Look at this. I love this. I love this panel. And you know what's funny? Because for 5 issues, Batsy was my favorite character. This particular issue really leveled the playing field as far as Wulf. You know, I'm a sucker. Cute girl. Cute vampire girl, yeah, that's my favorite, right? Sight unseen, before I even read the comic. But now I'm really liking Wulf. So she is getting pretty much apprehended, and she's powerless, and she's kind of panicking. And we got Zagzag. What is he doing? He's taking off. He's getting confronted by the zombies, and this thing is taking care of the enemy. So he's running away, but he can't stop. He can't help himself. He has to stop and taunt. You know, stop violence. Then stop running. If violence, you'll pay the price. You know, the zombies are had enough. You know, they're having a revolution. She's getting beat up. She's getting whiffed. And I just want to take a moment to talk about storytelling, okay? Brian is really good at storytelling. Now, of course, storytelling means telling a story, okay? But in comic books, when you say storytelling, you're talking about the ability to convey a story in the art. So, a comic book is sequential art, meaning it's art in a sequence, and through that sequence we convey the illusion of kinetics, the illusion of momentum and movement. Now look at this. There's no word. Well, there's a snap if you want to consider that a word, a grrr. But for the most part, there's no words. And look, we got Wulf over here. He's getting tossed by this tentacle thing. You could hear him huffing. He's building up his rage. This thing is taunting him. She's still panicking. And then we got Zagzog running away. Just a brilliant, building up tension. What's happening over here? Cut away. Excellent. Light at the end of the tunnel. That's hope. That's salvation. That's escape for Zagzog. We just see him running through the darkness. Behind him is darkness. Doom, damnation. He's running towards the light. He comes out into the sewer. There's no words. And we know his emotions. He's like, oh, finally made it. And then look at this. Is just another thing that only happens in comic books. The page, the turning of the page. Brian has incorporated this into the storytelling. This is a unique right here. This is a unique part of comic books, and it's something I never really appreciated until like Garth Ennis. There's in Preacher comics, the actual turning of the page was incorporated into the story so well that it brought about. And here we go. He's falling, and boom, boom. Look at that. And I just think it's funny that he just, if you want to consider that a word, we'll consider that a word. And then he's just like, he's breathing. He got it. He got away. And then the zombies. And I just have to marvel at the turnabout of this story. We're cheering for the dead and condemning the living. Just so cool. But then again, Brian is more akin to a monster than he is to a human. So it should be, if the more you know him, the more this makes sense. But can I rave about that anymore? No words. We know the story. We know what's going on. Just wonderful storytelling. Macabre, horrible, darkness, you know what I mean? But I don't know, just great storytelling. Now, I try to stay positive in my showcases, my videos, because there's just too much negativity, especially in the comic book world. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, congratulations, you have a better life than me. The comic book world is a hive of scum and villainy. Alternative comics is a high beacon on a hill. But I do say negative things when I'm trying to make a point. This is wonderful storytelling. If you look at my showcase of Howard Chaykin's American Flag, you will see horrible storytelling. And Howard Chaykin is a legend. He's a master. So I don't think I'm going to take money out of his pocket by saying that. But if you were to remove the words from Howard Chaykin's comics, you have no idea what's going on. It's almost like random pictures inserted of Reuben Flagg's face over here, Reuben Flagg's face over here, but you don't know what's going on. Very disjointed. This is wonderful flow. As we saw, we just had a couple of pages with no words. Now we have Zagzog bargaining and petitioning with the results of his actions. These are all of the undead that are gathering about his castle. And this is Sludge. This is his Igor, his assistant. He had enough of the humiliation and torture that he had. So, we are good people, normal people. We don't like to see dismemberment and torture and horror inflicted on people. So we are instinctively on the side of the undead, which is, funny because they are undead. But Zagzog, the living, is torturing and dismembering them. So, I just like this playful turnabout that Brian has created, that we're actually rooting for the monsters. And what's he do? He starts out demanding. He's the boss. Using his authority. That's not working. So now pleading, and now what is it? Acceptance. And now a little bit of defiance over here. Why not? And then we come back to, our heroes over here. This freaking, look at this thing. What's wrong with you, Brian? And Wulf, he's blurry. He's just leaping into action. Batsy is, I like that. What does that expression say to you? To me, it says, I'm scared, but oh no, now I'm scared. I'm scared for myself. She's in a predicament, and now she's scared for Wulf himself. Look at this. But Wulf, you know what I mean? she was scared, but Wulf, up until this point, this is the 6th issue, Wulf has feasted on humans and goats and things, but this is the first time like we're seeing like his fury unleashed. And look at that. Look at that eyes. Again, masterful. We don't know everything that's going on to her head. So the position, the motion, it's telling us. This is just blind rage. Blind rage. There's no pupils. You know what I mean? Over here we got pupils. Like he's focused over here. This is blind rage. He's just going nuts. And I think what we're seeing here is that this Wulf, he constantly has this rage locked in him, contained. There's a wonderful Superman story right after they redid Superman after the Crisis on Infinite Earths, where Brainiac starts messing with Superman's mental state, and he's like interfering with his emotions. And then at this point, I'm not even going to get into the confusing continuity of Brainiac, but at this point he was like a human magician, a human mentalist, and Superman grabs him and starts flying, and Superman saying, "What are you doing? You're messing with my mental state. Do you realize what it takes to be Superman?" He goes, "Every day I wake up and I have a stray thought. I should take over the world. Who could stop me? And then I'd stop. Why? Because I'm Superman, and I realize that's wrong." He goes, "It takes the will of Superman to rein in the thoughts of Superman." He goes, "And you almost messed with that precarious balance. You almost unleashed a monster." He goes, and as he's talking about that, he's holding Brainiac, and in the background you see the Eiffel Tower, and in another background you see the pyramid. So Superman's just showing him the extent of his speed and his power, and then he throws Brainiac into a jail cell and slams the jail cell and flies away. I loved that exchange. It takes the will of a Superman to contain the power of a Superman. And this is what's going on with Wulf over here. It takes supreme effort for him, look at that, to control his power and rage. And right over here, this is Batsy. Again, masterful storytelling. There's not even a word on this page. What is she doing? She's observing her buddy. She's observing her potential lover, love interest, best friend, whatever it is. And she's scared. Is she scared of the monster? She's scared of Wulf. She's scared of both of them. She's no longer afraid for her own. The hentai tentacles aren't even touching her. They're in the disgusting water. And then it collapses. And then this is the last page I'm going to show. This is the last page. Look at them. He's staring at Wulf. He's staring at Batsy. Batsy's staring at him. Look at that face. I look at that face and I see obvious rage, obvious that glorious feeling of a victory. The bloodlust satisfied of a defeated enemy. Is he looking at her with lust? And is he looking at her with like, this is the next person I'm going to kill? If a vampire is a person. And then he hugs, look at the face. He doesn't know what to do. A little bit of a shame, a little bit of embarrassment, and look at her. She's like, "Oh, my poor Wulf, what did you do?" She's ashamed of herself. She's a little bit of fear, a little bit of shame. Like, I can't believe I was so helpless that she's blaming herself. I caused Wulf to almost lose his nonsense. Okay, I just turned the page out of a habit, but I'm glad it was an ad. I don't want to show more because I think this is something you should I don't want to be so bold to say buy this, but it's $2, guys. This is a wonderful comic, and this just, if I may balance that horror and humanity and excellent storytelling with stuff that just makes me laugh. So this is Captain Bloodclot's famous novelties. Brian Bow does not want these Captain Bloodclot ads in his comic, but Captain Bloodclot's got something on Brian. He won't talk about it. Whenever I ask him about it, he gets quiet. You could just see sheer panic in his eyes. So Captain Bloodclot profits off of blackmail is the only way to explain what's going on. And I should be quiet because Captain Bloodclot does not take insults easy. But I don't know how he gets them, but he gets these celebrity barf bags. So I guess you could get like George Clooney, Robert Mitchum. Oh, I didn't know you could get Robert Mitchum's barf. I hope Oliver Reed's barf. Well, that's easy to get. There's a lot of Oliver Reed barf all over the place. James Mason's barf is probably tough to get. I could only imagine. Johnny Weissmeyer's barf has got to be difficult. But Captain Bloodclot's got the connections. Corpse Respondents, so you can get a dead pen pal. The horrifying true story of you know. And here we have an advertisement and the back cover. So there you go. It's no joke. I love Alterna Comics. I want them to succeed. I love this comic. I love Wulf and Batsy. I love Horace H. Hoover. Only one comic came out, and I'm really enthralled by it. You know, Blood Realms. This and Unit 44. These are the comics that are coming out by Alterna Comics right now. Oh, and King Cryptid. King Cryptid is so good. So you know, I'll put a link in the description. You could go to. I think they have an Indiegogo in-demand store where you could still pick up these comics. And even better off, you could go to alternacomics.com and pick up the back issues. They're all available. They're, you know, $2 a piece. $2. Like, what was that? What was Better Off Dead? $2. The kid on the, I don't know. I every time I say $2, I think of that. But there you go. This is Wulf and Batsy. I cannot sing the praises of this comic enough. I don't know what else to say. It's one of the best comics coming out by one of the best comic book companies right now, if you ask me. And there you go. I tried to stay positive, tried not to downgrade other people. I think I made a point when I said something negative about storytelling, but you get it. Now I'm rambling. It's best to stop when I ramble. But thanks a lot, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow with another video.